Hey guys, Lily Jean Berry back for the faction and Kill Your Stereo. Oh, I can't wait for who we're chatting to today. It's album release week. Windwaker. They've exploded since their first two EPs and have been getting bigger and bigger from the moment they launched. The band are releasing their very first album this Friday, and the hype behind it is huge. Here to chat us through everything love language is bassist Indey. How are you, Indey?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here to talk about all the really exciting stuff that's happening.
Hell yeah, I'm so blessed to have you here. Let's go straight into it. Hey, like we've had four songs so far, each of which are so incredibly different. We've got Beautiful, Lucy, Glow, and Superstitious Fantasy. How has the response been so far to these tracks?
Response been really good. Really we had like a little hint of how the response would be when we played Night and Day Festival at the start of the year, because I think we played Beautiful. We played a song that hasn't been released as a single. Actually, we played two, but when we played Beautiful, it was a really good reaction. The crowd were like getting really into it. They started doing like hand waves and stuff during the chorus. And I was like,
Oh,
damn, like we haven't even released this song yet, and these people are getting like super into it. So that was a really good, I guess, preemptive reaction to what the single would be like when it's released. So
yeah, sick.
when it actually came out, Beautiful went off. Like it was really good reaction, really big reaction.
I have to say, Beautiful has been like my standout favorite. I love the other three, but that song is like, I'm just like, this is Wind Waker's best track. Like, and I was at Night and Day, just I remember like my jaw just being on the floor, like
No way. Oh, that's so exciting to
absolutely.
hear. Awesome. Yeah. Um, I've heard that a lot. Beautiful had like a really good reaction in that sense. Like a lot of people have said it's their favorite of the singles so far. Um, and I think in general, all of the like it had really good streaming response on Spotify, it got playlisted really well. So across the board, like fans, playlisting, everything was like really good for Beautiful, and it kicked off the single releases really well. So I think Lucy out outreached it in terms of like streaming and stuff, but Beautiful was a really good like first single to kick off
It
everything off.
was very, very, very strong song.
Yeah. And then what did we do? We did Beautiful, Lucy,
Oh.
and then we had Glow come out, and then we had Superstitious. So yeah, it's interesting with the singles because have you heard the whole album?
I have, yeah, we're gonna get to
Yeah.
that in a sec.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so it's really interesting with the four singles that we released, because obviously with Superstitious, that's the heaviest of the singles. But I don't think anyone is expecting, like, we've had a lot of people be like, oh, you guys aren't doing heavy stuff anymore.
Oh,
I'm like
they
nervous
don't know
about
what
this.
they're in for.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you guys have no idea. Just wait, just wait. Um, I feel like the singles were chosen obviously because they're probably like the catchiest, like most single worthy songs on the album, but they're also a really good representation of what you're going to get out of the album without giving anything away at the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah, yeah.
because the singles are so different from each other. um I think like the through line for all of the music on the album in general, because it is so chaotic and like how stretched it is sonically, I would say like that Will's vocal performance and Will's voice is what carries you through all of the songs and sort of keeps it tied together. um
Oh, that's
just because
beautiful.
we do
That's
go
kind of
everywhere.
what I picked up as well. I was like, Will's
Yeah.
vocals are just phenomenal from start to finish. But as a body of work, like it really takes you on a big journey, and absolutely no song sounds the same. And it's just
Yeah.
like constant twists and turns. But the familiarity in the whole thing is Will's voice. So I love that you picked that you said that, because I picked that up.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good, because I think it needs, like, obviously there's going to be the through line of Will's vocals because he's the vocalist, but I think we obviously needed something to carry all of the songs and stitch it all together, and it just naturally fell into Will's responsibility, right? Because he's the vocalist. But I think Yeah, I think his vocal performance across the whole album alone is one of the biggest reasons to have a listen to it, because he's outdone himself as a vocalist. I think it's a testimony to like his hard work. And um yeah, I think I would say that's what stitches it all together. And
I love that.
even his screaming, like he's got some new shit that he's not recorded in Windwaker before, like in terms of vocals that he's never done.
Well,
And
I don't want to talk too much about the one song, but you can really hear that on Beautiful, right? There's so many
yeah,
different vocal styles on there. Like there's like almost a scat in the middle. There's like brutal
yeah,
screaming at the end. His vocals throughout the chorus is just kind of like melodic angels in your ears. It's just like
yeah,
you're kind of on this journey with the one song. And like I love that that's what you launched first, because it kind of sets the tone for what to expect for the record without people even knowing that that sets the tone for what to
yeah,
expect from the record. There's such a
yeah.
wide dynamic of themes and genres covered. I guess, how did you end up with these 12 songs? Like, what was the creative process like for the band?
I'm stoked that you said that, because that's so true. Um, I think in the in the overall scheme of like the songs and how we ended up there, I wouldn't say that we it obviously decided to make such a sonically different album with all the
Yeah.
songs. But um, when we started the writing process, we every time we start writing, regardless, we usually sit down and have like a meeting, and we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Where do we want to go? A few, like Jesse and Chris, are sort of like the core. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, the label Fearless Records calling me.
I'm fearless.
um, what was I saying? Yeah,
Sonically,
when we
you get
start
together, you have a meeting. Yep.
sonically, yeah, we have this meeting, and Chris and Jesse usually are like the sort of core writers, in the sense that they'll come to us with ideas and then we'll go off there. And they'll usually have like a few demos to sort of pass around. And when we first started writing for Love Language, we got together and we we're like, what do we want to do? And we all threw out ideas. And I don't think any of us were like thinking that it was going to be so broad in
Yeah.
terms of how crazy it gets. But we also didn't want to limit ourselves. We didn't want to put any restrictions. And I think the way that we led to getting to these 12 songs, because a lot of songs got cut. Like we had I think when we were actually picking the songs that were going to go on the album, we had about 16 songs.
Yeah,
So we
that
cut a
usually
few.
happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. And when it came to like writing everything and putting it all together, we sort of realized, damn, this is chaotic. How how is this going to stitch together? And then it came down to like obviously the track listing and trying to tell a story lyrically and keeping that through line of will, I think. But there was definitely no plan to get to those 12 songs. I think the environment that we were writing in at the time, because of COVID, also bled into our writing process and made things a lot more chaotic, because in general we were very chaotic as people during
Of
that
course.
time because of the
Yeah.
lockdowns. We couldn't write together a lot of the time, so we were doing a lot of like writing over Zoom. And when we did get together, we'd go away and we'd write it like Airbnb. So it was also kind of a discovery of how we like to write together, because previously we'd always just written usually at Chris's house. We'd get together and kind of write together there. But because of COVID, it sort of forced us into a different way of writing, because we had to figure out, okay, well, how are we going to actually get together and write? We can't get together at these times. We can get together at these times. So I think the chaoticness of COVID times also filtered into how crazy it gets into the album.
I kind of like that though. You'll always be able to look back on this body of work and be like, you know, we went through this wild time and we produced this sort of wild masterpiece. And and I love that, because my mind didn't even go there. And I'm like, yeah, of course it's like chaotic for this, from the sense that like it was a chaotic time. And I think that's really beautiful. Thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah, no, I think And also because the album is about love and all of our collective experiences with love, obviously during the time of writing, in the past, like I think love in general is such a broad I don't know, subheading of emotions.
Yeah.
Because there's so many experiences that you can have through love. It's a very broad concept. You know, you've got relationships, intimacy, friendships, even like your relationship with your pets, or like whatever's going on in your life through
But also love can be positive and negative as well. It can cause you
exactly
so much joy and also so much pain.
Exactly. And that's the spectrum that we're trying to capture in this album. And that's also I'd say that's the main reason that it is so chaotic, is because we're stretched across this huge spectrum of emotion that comes with anything to do with love. And I keep saying that it's a good sort of summary of the album is a chaotic cohesiveness, because
yeah, I kind of want to touch on the chaotic thing. Like, I know we both keep throwing that word out there, but like for everyone listening, it's not chaotic in a bad way. It's chaotic in a way that you're like on the edge of your seat and you're like, you're taken by surprise at every single moment. It's not chaotic like, what the fuck is happening? It's chaotic in the sense that you're like, holy shit, is this really what came next? Like,
yeah. I think that's exactly, and that's why I pair it with cohesiveness, because it's not chaotic in a bad way, like you say. It's cohesive and it's got direction, and it's it carries you through a story, but it throws you against, you know, a rock and a hard place at the same time, because you're just going like all over the place. And you get to experience, you know, moments of just balance and composure, and then it just throws you into a freaking chaotic mess. It gets super heavy, it gets super poppy.
I want to like take out all of the adjectives that we've brought into this conversation and like list them as like, you want to watch our interview? Here's all the adjectives we cover, and that's what's going to get everyone interested. I want to ask you, you know, the album name being Love Language. I feel like it used to be the term love language used to be seen as like almost a really alternative thing, but it's become so much, you know, so much more into the norm of people's world to determine what their love language is. What does determining your love language mean to you?
Yeah, wow.
I know, deep question. This is
it's a good question though.
Low key a psychology session, so I was about it.
Low key. Let me tell you about my life. I think that's a conversation that we also had personally as people and band members and together as friends while we're writing the album, because, you know, obviously it forced us to reflect on ourselves and our own experiences, and we talk about these things. And when Will came up with the name for the album, Love Language, we explored that together as well. We were like, okay, well, what does love language mean to us? What does it mean to have a love language in a relationship? How can we delve deep into that and move through those ideas through the songs? I think the idea of a love language is probably really important nowadays for people, whether it's a love language that exists in your own like intimate relationships, or even just self-reflection and how you carry yourself through life when you do engage with people, and what you allow yourself to put up with, how you project yourself, how you treat others, how you want to be treated, and just knowing yourself. I would say that knowing yourself is probably the most important thing about a love language, because you really need to know yourself in order to get the most out of love.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, right.
That needs to be on like an Instagram photo that like people share on their stories. That's like, you need to know yourself to be able to get the most out of love.
Yeah, I think you need to, in order to be able to get what you need, you've got to know what you need.
That's very true.
And you've got to be able to communicate that with people, even if it's not just telling them, it's showing them or giving and taking. There's always a balance to it, but I think it's always a journey going through any sort of relationship. And I think growth is an important thing as well, that because as band members, we all grew a lot during COVID because it forced us into emotional situations that we weren't expecting to have.
Absolutely.
And I think I personally myself, I grew a lot in terms of knowing more about myself and more about what I want and what I want to give and how I want to interact with people. I think because you have so much time by yourself while you're in lockdown, and you kind of figure like, oh, yeah, this is a lot of alone time. I actually do crave, because personally I'm quite comfortable being by myself. But when you're thrown into situations where you're just by yourself, it's
Yes.
like, oh, I actually do crave, like, social situations. I want to be interacting with people.
Human interaction, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the hard times of COVID made us all realize it goes into like the anger parts of it as well, and why some of the songs get so brutal and heavy is we figure out what we want to put up with, like moralistically, like reflecting on yourself. What am I going to put up with in terms of relationships? Like, am I going to allow myself to be treated this way? Am I going to communicate more effectively to get out of tough situations, or am I just going to fucking rage and punch a wall? Like, how healthy is that?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Exactly. Like, how are we gonna? How can we explore like because that's where the album gets quite honest, is it explores the very aggressive and dark natures of emotional situations you can get into through those relationships, and how you can process through those. And for us as artists, and using music as our form of release, we write heavy shit and it processes emotions for us.
But heavy shit can also have a really tender effect. And I think that with the mix of, the more brutal songs and the lighter songs on the record, like you really do experience a breadth of emotions listening to it. And on that note, the lyrics are such an important part, and they've been drip fed out over Instagram over the last week or so.
Yes.
So based on the songs that we haven't heard yet, which unreleased tracks are you most excited for people to hear?
Oh, okay. I'm okay from a lyrical sense. I would say,
or whatever, some that
yeah.
out to you. Yeah.
So I was saying, like, from a lyrical sense, I would say The Rain and Hide and Seek. Hide and Seek in particular is a really personal song to Will. Yeah. And it's a really interesting vocal journey in terms of his performance and his lyrics. And if you follow that song with the lyrics, you get like a really nice intimate experience of stuff that Will's gone through in his life, and how he's processed that through music. So I would say, from a lyric sense, I think Hide and Seek is a really beautiful lyric experience, I guess.
Yep.
But from a musical sense, I'm probably most excited for people to hear, and I think it's just because it's such a fun song, is Dopamine Freestyle.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Because we've been playing that live, right? We opened with it at Night and Day. No one knew what it was, but ever since we've been playing it, we played it at our headline shows as well. I
distinctly remember it from the headline, and then like hearing the album a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, this is that one. yeah.
It seems to like really click with metal fans. It's like it just goes off live, and
I think
people have been asking us.
Gravitate to that for sure. They're going to be like, oh, holy shit, like,
yeah. I'm so excited for that song to be out, because so many people have been asking me, what is this song, like after gigs, what was that song you played? Like, just wait, you'll get it.
Now a bunch of us get to hear the album early if we're in Melbourne. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have planned for Thursday night?
So we have our listening party, and it's kind of like our, long-awaited release party for anyone in Melbourne, or anyone that wants to come to Melbourne. You can RSVP to it. I think the link's on all over our social medias.
Yeah, I'll pop it in the article as well.
Yeah, sweet. And basically, we just want to gather as many people as we can to come and listen through the album with us. We've we're going to be doing an interview that's going to be broadcasted so people that can't come can listen in. But in general, it's just like a little fun, really cool time for people to come and join us in celebrating the album while it's out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be good. I hope a lot of people can come and RSVP, because we really want to share this moment with everyone. And I'm mainly just excited for people to, I love watching reactions. I love like reaction videos on YouTube. I love seeing people's faces like while they're listening to certain parts and get sort of blown away. So I'm just going to be like standing in the corner just watching people and like I just want to see like reactions to the music. I don't know. I think because we've been sitting on these songs for so long, like all of us are so comfortable with the songs. We know them so well. And I think in a sense, we've lost that little bit of, when you hear new music for the first time. So getting to experience that with people that haven't heard it yet is probably going to be the most exciting thing for us, because it's going to reignite that like, oh, I remember what this was like to listen through the first time. And now we get to share that with people. So that's going to be exciting.
I'm definitely along the same lines as you, as where I'm just going to be like watching people listen to it, like, because we could touch on it all day about how dynamic the record is, and because of all those twists and turns and keeping you on your toes, like it's going to be really interesting to watch everybody else experience that. Like I almost wish I recorded it when I listened for the first time, but it's like no, it's all good. I can just witness everyone else having that same reaction I did. You were able to mostly tour the country earlier this year. COVID got in the way. Fuck you. But the album comes out Friday. I know there's probably a lot that you have to keep under wraps and sort of can't share too much. But what can we look forward to from Windwaker for the rest of 2022?
Well, we've got the Ivory Vale Motionless in White tour in at the end of June, which I think is mostly sold out now.
Yep.
But if you can get tickets, anyone, definitely come and see that, because that is going to be a really awesome time. I absolutely love those two bands. And every time I watch them on YouTube or their live shows, they just go absolutely off. And we get to open that. So that's going to be a really exciting time. And then we're doing a lot of shows. Awesome. From June onwards through to the end of the year. There's some really, really exciting stuff that's
what we want to hear.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you what it is, because it's so stoked. But it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, that's enough to get everyone excited, keep everyone like with the album on the edge of their seat. And we can't wait to hear about it. Everyone who's listening, pre-order Love Language now. You've only got a couple of days to go. The album has something for everyone, and it's just such a strong record that you honestly won't even believe it's a debut album. I cannot wait for you all to hear it. Congratulations, Indey, and good luck for Friday. I'll see you Thursday.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for such a great chat.